B'shut Kol HaKadosh, everybody welcome. Be'ezrat Hashem, Shefa Baracha Tzlacha Le'am Yisrael. To our dear friends Tony, Adam, Ben Daisy, our dear friend Emmanuel, Be'ezrat Hashem, Shefa Baracha Tzlacha, v'gam Abigail Bat Angela, Zivugui Magunim. To our dear friends Zivug, so you get married, Be'ezrat Hashem, both of you this year. Have a Shefa Baracha Tzlacha, Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach. Happiness and joy. Refuah Shlema, health, happiness, that's the most important. Gam Yaakov ben Asher, thank you for doing whatever you're doing for the community. Gminut Chasadim, which is kindness, that's what we learned talking about. Chesed, Ahavat Chesed, loving kindness. That's our subject over here in Chafetz Chaim. So as we continue, Gam Tzarich Shilada, Shemamon Achirim Nishar Bayad Achirim Ba'avel Basof Lo Yatzliach. We talked about over here giving loans and taking loans, okay, borrowing, lending money. Over here, one of the topics talking about a person, he took somebody else's money, let's say he lent money, and he does not give the money back. He would not return. He says, Chazal tell us in Yirmiyahu. Following says Pasuk in Isaiah. I'm sorry, Yirmiyahu 17:11. I'll say Osher, that's a strong verse, which just means that's a fact. If somebody does richness without mishpat, without judgment, what does it mean? In a half of his days, he will leave to somebody else. We're going to explain. He says sometimes the richness will leave the person, or person will become chas v'shalom poor. So if somebody keeping somebody else's money, is not giving it, or stealing from somebody, he says it's not going to be successful. It looks in the people's eyes, 10, 20 years, it looks like successful, but then down the road, it's not successful. In our sages say, if you took money that is not yours, the people and HaKadosh Baruch Hu would take money that is not yours. He would take your money that is not yours. What about keeping other money that people gave him? To watch after his money. They say, what is good for you, a human, and what Hashem asking you? Hashem is asking for the judgment, which just means to do everything properly. He says this is the chukeh, which just means the laws of the mishpat, which just means a judgment. A person has to be careful, should not do wrongdoing towards his friend. A person should always know and put in a scale how to properly judge and properly have the money managed. And this is will bring the redemption for Am Yisrael. Dechtiv Isaiah, it says 56:1. Shamru mishpat v'haosu tzedakah. So it says, Shamru mishpat, they will keep the judgment and they do charity. Krova Yeshuad lavot tzidkato legalot. He says when we do charity, our redemption will become closer and closer. Let's understand what means kindness and how is a person able to connect to kindness. So we're able to do kindness for each individual in different forms. It comes in a way different forms to each individual. אז זה שיש להם בעירם, ואינם יודעים לשון הנאות לזה, כן אמרתי, לגמול חסד תתק הפנחס שבעירנו. זה פתח השער. So it says people do all different minut chasadim, like you see in Bnei Brak, by the Bet Knesset Iskovich, which is the minyan over there 24/7, okay? Next to it, Eretz Israel is very hot weather, okay? Next to there's a cups, okay? Cups, plastic cups, and there's a water, cold water. All it says, the only thing you have to do is make a blessing on the water. The water is free. That means hot weather outside, cold water, okay, which is thousands of people pass by, 10,000 people pass by, the water is always there, and a plastic cup is always there. You know, sometimes you go to the public like conventions and public places, usually there's no papers, there's no cups, there's always missing. That place is never missing. It's always there. When I was there, it's always there. That means it's always is available. So that's considered kindness. So that's kindness. It always says, all you have to do, please make a blessing. That's all it says. Okay? So that's considered another way of kindness. Okay? You're going to say, what is the big deal? The big deal is somebody have to do this all the time and actually support the cups, the water. Okay? Let's talk about our Torah, Holy Torah, what talks about Gvilut Chasadim, kindness. Chasadim nireh mitzvah rabah hi ad meod sheyesh zeh mitzvah shemiyuchedet b'Torah. It says in the Torah, it talks about special, that mitzvah of kindness. Shenemar in Shemot, in the second book of the Chumash, which is the Torah, in the Shemot in 22-24. Ki kesef telveh et ami et ani. So it says you should give money to the person that is poor, you should lend the money. Okay, that's what it says. That's a general. Parasha Re'eh, and again another parasha which is in Sefer Dvarim in 15:8. It says a person should do all different type of mitzvot. What does it mean? So it talks about in the Eretz Israel, and the 7th year, you're not allowed to plant in the land of Israel. You're not allowed to plant. So why? We know that the land, it does not belong to us. It belongs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. כתב על זה ספר הקדושה שער התשובה רבנו יונה. So it says following. למדנו שכל המונע עצמו מלעבוד לעני, if a person have money and is refraining to borrow the money to the pauper person that he needed. Of course, a person has to be trustable. If it's not trustable, of course, you cannot give money. But Shnei Lavim, he desecrates two negative commandments. Hishamer upen. He says, Hishamer, keep and watch, and maybe. Im la'et asher krava shanat sheva. Says this is the time when the 7th year comes in. Haziru shelo nichdol le'lavod mi'irat hadavar shmita. So we know, and this is the law actually. Right now, if I gave to Moshe $100,000 before the 7th year, the 7th year comes in, okay, if we didn't make a contract to the Beddin, which means to the Jewish court, that 100,000 were going to be nullified, which means the 7th year will cancel it. So people will refraining from lending money to the people. So that's why through the Beddin, Hillel HaZaken fixed through the Beddin, and through the Beddin, we say that all the money belongs to the Beddin, so that person able to give the money back to the borrower that he lended from. So this, yes?
So this only happens in Israel?
No, this now, let's say there's a 7th year, we know the 7th year. Okay, we already announced in the Bet Knesset, whoever owes money, make sure that he's going to say that whatever the money that I lended, it belongs to Beddin, so Beddin able to collect it and give it to you in case that would not cancel it. Okay? We need to come more often to the shul. Once we come more often to the Bet Knesset, we know these laws. Hey, Rabbi! So he says, what if a person, he does not lend people money? Okay? לא תשתמד לגמרי. יש זה או כתוב מפורש בתורה. So he says, כי ימוך אחיך ומטה ידו עמך והחזקת בו. Says, the Chazal telling us, you need to lend the money. Of course, like we said, a trustable person, able to pay, that he able to give. You strengthen the Jewish people, what? Hands. ואמרו חכמינו זיכרונה, גדול המלווה לעני יותר מעושה צדקה. Says you lend the money to the proper person or a needed person is much greater than a charity. Charity, you're just giving, you're patching the problem. But you're giving the lending the money, he's able to grow in a business. And like this, instead of him, each time you're feeding the fish, you teach him how to catch the fish. Okay, that's the most important thing in a business. He says, look at it in a Yoredeya, which is in Shulchan Aruch, in Siman Resh Mem Tet, which is 249. The Chachamim said there's 8 levels of how to give tzedakah, and what is the greatest level? It says one of the highest charities to give, it's not really he's doing charity, it's actually much greater than a charity. He's lending the person money. He's lending the person money. ואחד משלושה דברים מעולם העומד. Says when he lend the money to the person that he needed, he says the three things the world stands because he did this. כאמרו חכמינו זיכרונם לברכה באבות. על שלושה דברים עומד העולם. Our sages say on three things the world stands. על התורה, which is the Torah, the study. Shamayim va'aretz, which just means the heavens and earth, everything sustained through the Torah. V'al avodah, which just means through the davening, to the prayer. V'al gemilut chasadim, which just means through the kindness. V'advarim adam ochel miprotahem ba'olam hazeh. Says this is the fruits that you eat in this world. V'akeren ka'emet le'olam haba. Not only that, the reward is so great and a share in the world to come. Aschar shel machzik hamidah kedusha hazot. He says the reward for this character, he calls this a holy character. Not every character he calls it holy. This is a holy character. Gadol miyot ke'edei b'alkut hashah remes. It says following: Ki chesed chafasti velo zavach. So it says Hosea says in a 6:6, chesed chafasti. Hashem says, I'm desiring kindness velo zevach. I'm not desiring for the korbanot or for the sacrification. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam says following. חביב עלי חסד שאתם גומלים זה לזה יותר מכל זבח הזבח שלמה לפני 1,000 עולות. יעלה שלמה. He says, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon brought thousands of korbanot. Thousands of korbanot, it's millions and millions of dollars. He says, you're doing kindness with each other, it's much greater than all the Shlomo HaMelech bring me thousands of korbanot. So me and you doing kindness to each other, okay, that is much greater than bringing Shlomo HaMelech, bringing 1,000 korbanot in front of the Hashem. וזה רואה כוחן של הבעלי צדקה. He says, from here we see במדרש רות says following, we see the strength and the power of the person who does charity. גומל חסד שהם חוסים לא בצל שחר ולא בצל כנפי ארץ. He says, they would not be saved from the shadow of the earth, not from the shadow of the wall, okay? כנפי ארץ ולא בצל כנפי שמש ולא בצל כנפי חיות. He's not going to be protected by the animals. Nothing good. Says, whoever said this is the world that I created, which is we going to be in the shadow of Hashem. He says, what is the most important yakar in front of Hashem? It's chazdecha, which just means your kindness, okay, that person does with each other. Everything we need doing for the sake of Hashem. For the sake of Hashem. לתקן מצווה, בעירנו לעשות חברה של גמילות חסדים להיות עני בעת צרכן לתקנות שעשינו זה לבאר זה יצא השם יתברך. Says this is what Chafetz Chaim said. We did it in our cities, that there was a certain amount of money, and people when they need to lend, they used to come and lend, and they used to give the money back. And that's what they used to have. So they used to have all different type of kindness for the Am Yisrael. הרוצה לעשות חברת כנסת אורחים. Or, he says, create a group that people would come in, other people from Eretz Israel, people coming here all the time, and invite guests to your house, okay? So this says you need to have a group. Or חברת ביקור חולים. Or group, there's a groups actually in New York, over here in Forest Hills, in Rego Park, where they visit sick people. It's called Bikur Cholim. Emmanuel, you didn't know about that. It's called visiting sick people. Okay, it's a mitzvah. Okay, או חברת כנסת כלות עניות לחופה או חברת מלביש ערומים. And they have also organization that the bride, right? The bride does not have the clothing. The groom does not have the clothing. They give it to them to rent it. Yes, the candles, the tablecloth, everything. So that's called. Or you have an organization that is giving clothing that people don't have. You're going to say, is it possible? Yeah, right now, especially it's the winter time, a lot of people don't have a jacket, okay? You go a jacket, you buy a jacket, that's considered gemilut chasadim. You're doing kindness. So it's very important to have this organization, and they have these groups. But the person heard the shiur, he goes and he says, okay, thank you very much. We heard what we say, Rabbi. We're going to continue with our lives. So it says each person, the reason is written this book, so we actually activate and be active in all these organizations and to able to do it. The littlest thing in an organization, okay? A person says, I'm donating Sidur, or Tzitziot, or somebody does not have Tefillin. Many different groups of things that a person do with the kindness. Now we're talking about Godol Achnasat Orchim. Now we're talking about the Perik HaShlishi, the third chapter, is bringing guests to the house. Who is considered guest? I have my cousin living across the street. Is a guest? He's not a guest. I have a cousin living in Forest Hills, but I live in Rego Park. Is it considered a guest? It's not a guest. Guest means he came to the town, he has nowhere to live and nowhere to eat. That's considered guest. The guest, he has what to eat, he has what to sleep. So that's not considered. This is considered you just want to get close with him and chat with him. This is something else. Guest really means that he does not have where to rest and where to eat. And you're going to say, is there such a thing in America? Is it happen? People coming from Eretz Israel, Avrechim, which is Talmidei Chamim, coming and collecting money all the time. They have nowhere to sleep. They have nowhere to eat. Okay? And a person, of course, you cannot invite everybody. You have to see if it's capable of everything. Of course, you have to go with what the wife says, the kids, okay? That has to be everything in consideration. So it says over here, Achnasat Orchim, which means bringing guests to the house. So how important, how's the camera? Still working? Achnasat Orchim. So it says, Achmenu Zachronan Livracha Masechet Sukkah, it says in page 49. Shlosha Dvarim Gdola, Agimilut Chadmito LaTzedakah. He says three things, the kindness is greater on 3 levels higher than a tzedakah, than a charity. Tzedakah b'mamono, charity in the money. Gemilut chasadim, kindness, he's doing physical, which means he's spending time, he's inviting, and with the money, which is feeding. What is the difference? The charity is give that said, yes, thank you very much, you go forward. But when you're inviting somebody, what happens? You're spending your time, not only that, you're spending also money by feeding. Tzedakah le'aniyim, charity is to the poor. Gemilut chasadim, kindness is to the poor and to the rich. How is it possible? He's rich. What kind of kindness he could do? Sometimes a rich person, okay, he does not have money, all the money invested, and he says, let me borrow from you. You lend it, that's considered you did a kindness. Even to the rich. Okay, tzedakah lechayim, it says charity to the life person. Gemilut chasadim, kindness is to the life person and the person that passed away. How? The fact that you go, it's called chesed ve'emet. It's called chesed, kindness, and a true. Why? When you escort a person and you carry the casket, that's considered you doing. Why? Because he cannot return to you. Borei Olam himself returning to you. By you carrying the casket, he cannot say thank you to you. He's dead already. Okay, the relatives, but that's not the same way. In the first 2 chapters, we spoke about kindness. We talk about kindness over here with our time, spending time. Says a person spends time with his friend. He says over here, he does good with him until he spends time with him. And this is what we talk about entering the guest. Mitzvah mishtadlut odod lekabel panim bayafot. Says when you invite guests, make sure you're going to invite him with a smile, or you're going to greet him with a smile. A lot of times you come in, you make a face that I don't want to be even in your house, and you're upset, and something happened, right? You're making these faces, and that's why it's very important, okay? But sometimes the kids are fighting, right? And all this, and right now you're getting emotional, then everybody else getting emotional, right? So that has to be careful, okay? So it says, make sure we're going to accept each one of us with a what? With a smile, okay? Very important. Even these people don't need your kindness, right? But the way you present and the way you accept them. Bikur cholim, it says same thing. That is one of the things we need to more push in our community is visiting the sick people. Misameh chatam vekala. Not only that, make a bride and a groom happy. Okay, we gave $500 for the table. Okay, we're sitting eating. We're just watching how the bride, the groom is dancing, which is not mixed dancing. Separate. Okay? He says you need to go and dance with the what? With the man. You go to dance with the chatan. You go dance with him. Don't just sit, fill your stomach, and just look around like a bunch of crazy people just dancing, so-called. Okay? He says a person should also escort the dead person and bury him, okay? Eulogize, okay? Nasad matov va'od kama inyanim, and carry his casket. Asher nivraer yirtzeh Hashem mikam. Batchila nivaer godel mitzvah nasad orchim godel scharo avur zeh. Says, what is the great reward that we're going to talk about? Inviting guests. Zeh achar kach nivaer ofen hanagash tzarich lahe bezeh imahem. Kama chaviv mitzvah. How much is the important mitzvah? Achnasat orchim. Inviting guests. Lifnei Hashem yitbarach. You inviting guests in front of Hashem, it's a great thing. Shekatav parasha shlema b'Torah midaberet. It's a full parasha talks about just the entering guests. Okay? So, minyan v'hi leod naui shitchazek gam lemei chayenu. He says, so same thing we're supposed to be, okay? Strengthen ourselves in a achnasat orchim. So one time, achnasat orchim came in guest to the Chafetz Chaim house, okay? And Chafetz Chaim, the guest did not understand. He puts the sheet together, he gives him the pillow, puts the sheet on a pillow, and he says, let me help you, Rebbe. He says, no, don't help me. Okay? And he was his guest. Next day, Chafetz Chaim, him davening together, Shacharit, okay, Chafetz Chaim comes in, he wants to put a tefillin, his guest, Talmid Chacham. He's helping him to put a tefillin. He says, no, why would you help me to put a tefillin? I could put it myself. I know how to do it myself. He says, the way I could make a kindness, which is achnasat orchim, bringing guests is from the Torah. You putting tefillin, you don't need a help, right? Same thing when I do my mitzvah, I don't need a help for me to do my mitzvah. I have to do the mitzvah myself. I don't need your help. So that's how much is important to do achnasat orchim, which means inviting guests. כמו מצינו שתקף אחר מעשה שבח אותו שכתוב עבור שיצווה את בניו גם ללך. So he says, there's a many tzaddikim, בדרך צדקתיו. many tzaddikim, okay, בגמרא, אמר רבי יוחנן, גאולה הכנסת אורחים כשהשכמת בית המקדש. Rabbi Yochanan says following, in Masechet Shabbat, in one page, 127, says Rabbi Yochanan, somebody bringing guests to his house, it's like building a Bet HaMikdash, a holy temple. He didn't understand what I just said. If somebody bringing a guest to his house, it's like building a whole temple. Ashkamat. Minarda Omer yotem Ashkamat Bet HaMikdash. In some places it says, is more greater than Bet HaMikdash. Is more greater. What bagime gdola achnasat yoter mikabala pnei shechina. He says, even the bringing the guest to the house is greater than accepting the divine presence. So somebody says, I want Eliyahu Hanavi to come to me right now or tomorrow. He says somebody is inviting guests is much greater than inviting or meeting the Eliyahu Hanavi. Why? Because you're getting directly, it says it's much greater, it's greater, not much, it's greater than accepting the divine presence. Like it says in Bereshit, Vayomer Adonai imna matzati chen beinecha al nador תעבור מעל עבדיך, חיינו שיניח והלך מקבת אורחים. Avraham Avinu spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When he speaks, he saw the guests, Avraham Avinu speaking with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He saw the guests coming. He says to Borei Olam, wait, I'm going to go take care of the guests. You didn't get what I said. He says to Borei Olam, he says, let me go and take care of the guests. Okay? ואמר לה שימתין עד שיעבור שיחזור. גם מאחד הדברים שאדם יכול This is one of the fruits a person eats in this world. What is it? And he's very keren, which means his reward in the share in the world to come. Not only that, he's able to cling to the kindness. This is considered doing kindness with others. ליצחק זימן השם אשר הוא גודל העצה ורב עלילה תבוא הסיבה על ידי שהתקרבה את עצמה לאורח. So it says, we see from here, Noseh Rivka, which is our mother, okay? She did kindness with who? With the Gbalim, which means the camels of Eliezer and with Eliezer, right? So what happened? The whole nation, Jewish nation, the foundation of Jewish nation come from Rivka, Rachel, Leah, okay? So it says over here, and this is the young lady is standing by the well. From here we learned how she able to match to the Yitzchak. Pirush Rashi, because she did kindness, she's the great for my master. So make sure you do accept and guess with a good heart, karaui, properly, the way the Rivka is done. He said, feed the camels, but not only that, not feed them. Give them the water. There's many things came into place. So a person able also connect to the kindness. It says in the Tanchuma, שרמזת תורה בעשה אברהם אבינו, לאחת שאכלו אמר מלאך שוב ושוב, והנה כן בן שרה לאשתך. So we see from here, הכנסת אורחים, somebody, it's another segula, which just means a good thing. If a person does not have kids, chas v'shalom, we know when the angels came in, which is when they came in, okay, he does not knew there was an angel. He told Rashi, Rashi b'makom, Rashi says that it was a Ishmaelim ishtachavim la'afar raglechem. There was a Ishmaelim, which just means they will bow down to the feet of the dust of the feet. But because he brought the guest to his house, not the angels, a guest to his house, okay, later on he understand he was the angels. He says because of that, his wife was a barren, did not have kids for 90 years. HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed Abraham and Sarah with the kids. Okay? Why? Because of the kindness of bringing guests to the house. So somebody does not have kids, it's also segula to bring guests to the house. Okay? ועוד מצוות הכנסת אורחים נוגע גבה עשירים, כמו שכתוב בספר, יש נוחלים בשם מעריל. It says, what about bringing a rich person to the house? אף שאין צריכים לטובתו. They don't need your good people, rich people, they have everything. קבלה מקבל בפנים יפות, משתלל לשמשם בכבודם. He says, you accepting them with the beautiful, with the smile, and you give them the respect, okay? It's a mitzvah, he says. This is the mitzvah. וכן שכן אורחים הם עניים. Of course, also the pauper people, pauper person. מצווה כפולה מקיים בזה. It's a double mitzvah. Whoever invite a person that he does not have. גם מצוות צדקה. And also charity. He does charity with it. כסף, בעוונותינו רבו נהפוך הוא שבו ראהו, אשיר אצלו נכבנו מכל כבודים בשמחה ולטוב לב. Says, unfortunately, people does not take this mitzvah properly. When they see a rich person, they start respecting him with the happiness. שבו אצלו איש עלוב, נחה רוח, מקיים בזה תפק לרעב, נפשך ונפש נענה תשביע, וזרח בחושך ואורך. So he says the following, when a proper person comes in, we look at him improperly, okay, we just tell him, come on, hurry up, eat, and just get away from here. אין השמחה בו כל כך לפעמים גם בלב עצב. So a person is sometimes invited that a person is not respectable in a community, okay? And he's inviting a person that is not, is a pauper. Okay, he says, come on, hurry up. Basically, he does not tell him this in a word, but his action is in that speaks. B'shem Mordechai kofim zeh. So it says over here, zeh להכניס אורחים לחלק הם tzedakah, לחלק להם tzedakah. If somebody brings a guest to the house, it's also considered part of the charity. Still working? Yeah. Beautiful. מה מאכיל אדם לעני על שולחנו נחשב כקורבן מזבח. So it says following, ומה מאכיל אדם? A person feeds the pauper person, okay? נחשב כקורבן מזבח. If he feeds a pauper person, it's like a korban. It's like bringing sacrification. כדאית בחגיגה, it says in מסכת חגיגה in page 27. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Amar Resh Lakish says, Da'amrei tarvayu, בזמן שבית המקדש קיימן, Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish says, both of them, okay, when the time of the Bet HaMikdash exists, okay, Bet HaMikdash mechaper alav, Bet HaMikdash, which is forgiving the sin of the person, ועל ידי קורבנות, when he brings a korban, ועכשיו שולחנו של אדם mechaper alav. Says, now in our days, the table of the person that is forgiven him. What does it mean, the person of the table? Ite b'masechet derech eretz, rachmamim machlei re'im oshkei tzme'im malbishim arumim. Says, when you're sitting eating, and there's a people walk into the house, and they have nothing to eat, like this, you're able to feed them. Like this, you're able to, is forgiven for his sins. It says following, Masechet derech eretz, second chapter, rachamim ma'achelei re'ivim, mashkei tzme'im. He says, whoever is hungry, you give him food. Whoever is thirsty, you give him drink. Malbishim arumim, you clothe people that is don't have enough clothes. Mechalkei tzedakot, you give the charities. Alehen katuv, imru tzadik kitov. Yeshayahu says following, Isaiah 3:10. It says, imru tzadik kitov. He says tzaddik, he says it's good. Ki prima alehem yachlu. This is the fruits you're able to eat. B'prat im ma'arech talmidei chachamim betoch beto. Especially when he brings talmidei chachamim, scholars to his house. Scharo rabeh me'od yoter al zeh. His reward is much greater than bringing an ordinary person. Okay? Deiti b'barachot. It says in Masechet Barachot, in page 10. Amar Rabbi Yossi says, Rabbi Chanina, in the name of Rabbi Chanina. Mishum Rabbi Elazar, in the name of Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Kol ha'me'arech talmid chacham. It says, Chazal tell us, whoever brings the talmid chacham to his house, b'ma'achilo mashkeo, he gives him food, okay, and he drinks, and give him drink, ma'aneu nechasav, and he give him money. Ma'ala katuv, kilu makriv timidim. It's like he's bringing korban tamid, okay? If somebody brings talmid chacham, dechtiv tamid, bashunamid, Me'anid Elisha. Shunamid is always was giving and was serving Elisha. ועובר עלינו לתמיד. מי שאינו רוצה לענוד מנכסיו עונש גדול. If a person have money and he does not want Talmidei Chamim or proper people to have enjoyment from that money, he says his punishment is a lot greater. כידע בחלק. אמר רבי אלעזר. Rabbi Elazar says in Masechet Sanhedrin in page 92. Rabbi Elazar, Mi she'eino me'anem et talmidei chachamim en lo baracha. So Rabbi Elazar says in a Masechet Sanhedrin, somebody does not make pleasure from his money to the talmidei chachamim, he does not have a baracha. He does not have a blessing from that money. Amru chachamenu zichronam livracha. Our sages say in Masechet Sanhedrin in page 103, Gdola glima achila she'machalim lo'orchim. A person gives food to the orchim, which just means to the guests. Marachikat et krovim ikravet et rochokim. What he does, somebody is far away, is get connected to the people. Ma'alad aniyim mina rashaim mashra shchina ala nevi'eh ba'al hashgacha ola zadon. So it says, if a person is stay away, does not do kindness, okay? Chas v'shalom, he says, this becomes for him intentional. Marchik krovim Ammon Moab. He says, Ammon and Moab, which is the two nations, cannot come to the Am Yisrael. They cannot be part of the Am Yisrael. Okay? Why? So he says, Krovim le'Yisrael labo milot, ben achi Avraham, v'yirchakam makom shelo bakal mishum shelo kedmu otam belechem u'mayim. So Ammon and Moab did not give us a bread and food, bread and water. So the Chazal says, who is the Ammon and Moab? Come from Lot. Who is Lot? Lot is the nephew of Avraham Avinu. So if we are relative, they didn't even give us food and water and a bread. The Borei Olam says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, they cannot be part of the nation. If they want to convert, they cannot convert. If whoever comes from Ammon and Moab cannot convert. Even though in our days we don't know who is Ammon and Moab, because there was a king called Sancheriv. Sancheriv, what he did, he mixed all the nations throughout. That's why we don't know who is Ammon and Moab. So who Yitro became much closer to, which means he converted to Judaism. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says following, Shemot, Baschar korelo v'achal lechem zacho bnei banav leshev belishkat hagazit. Because the Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron which is when he convert, they give him a bread, which is they give him not only bread, they give him a meal, okay? He says there, merit, the Yitro also had the merit, which means his future generation will be sitting in a Bet HaMikdash. מעלת עניים מן הרשעים, שלא הביט בראשו שלם כי לא דורך ממנו. הרע, ממשיכה ועושה פסד דכתיב. אמר רבי מארי בר שמעתי, מפני מה לא מנו את מיכה? He says, why the Micha was not counted? 4 ידיעות שאין לכם חלק לעולם הבא. 4 people does not have a share in the world to come. מפני שפטור מצוי לעובדי דרכים. Okay? Because the people who were passing by did not give him the bread, which means they not give him a food. משרש על נביאי בעל. דכתיב שם יושבים. So it says following, בית יחרב מפני שעמית את ירבעם עגלה ובא נביא שקר ותהו לידו, והושיבו